And welcome to this video. I want to go over how to sketch from a picture in SolidWorks. And this is, of course, from a collaboration with All Visuals for You. So let's get started by going into the part environment. And let's get into an active sketch on the front plane. And in an active sketch, I have the opportunity to say Tools, Sketch Tools, and Sketch Picture. From here, I can choose a PNG image. In this case, this will be the logo of All Visuals for You, the channel that I am working with, and I simply click the box, or I can have the options to rescale it, drag it anywhere that I want to. So once I get happy with the position, and then I'll choose this arbitrary position, I can begin sketching. Now normally in SolidWorks, the goal is always fully constrain your sketch. In a case like this, it is pretty difficult when you have things like this curve that is not a constant radius. And so let's talk about how to match this relatively exactly. You'll see that I've got a little bit of pixelation, and that's okay. But I'm going to draw a line where there's a straight, and then I'll grab my spline. As you know, it is perfectly possible for me to just click this spline and get a pretty good outline of what's out there. Now, depending on how exact you want to be, that could work. You'll notice that what I do up here affects the curvature of what I've done down here. And so if you want to have a lot of exactness, I recommend choosing two spline points. And notice I have a point here at the end of this arrow that I can adjust the spline with, and I have a point here. If I do more than 2 points, it gets a little bit more complicated, too complicated really to be exact with. I can add a tangent relation to my lines, which essentially just holds this arrow horizontal, and the length of the arrow determines at what effect or at what variable radius I'm putting on the spline. And then I can adjust the other one as well. And so it is probably the most easy to use straight lines and splines on this kind of font or text geometry. And again, we can add in the tangent relation here, and so the finished product would look relatively seamless. And so now I simply try to match the curvature that I'm seeing. And when I'm done there, again, a 2-point spline. So the process of converting even very, very complicated photos is quite simple in SolidWorks because it can be broken down to basic components. You can use a 3-point arc if you're confident that it's a constant radius, or if it's something like text, which can vary a lot, go with a spline that has 2 points on it. The tangent relation is a guarantee that you will have smooth edges in the end. You probably are getting the idea. You lay down some lines and splines and make them tangent. And so I'm going to fast forward to show you the end product. So when I hit something like this S, I want to be very judicious and choose inflection points, right? I have a small radius right here. The radius gets a little larger, then it becomes very large. So I choose at the transition points about where the radius changes dramatically, and I fit my spline only on those radius changes, right? So right here is where you can see a big radius change, and then right here as well. So I put my spline just along every inflection point that I'm seeing. The tangent relation is also a great help because it makes sure that my splines are very smooth and smoothly transition. If I don't like the way that tangent relation worked out, which I don't in that case, then I can get the geometry that I want to perhaps right there, and then I can put a fixed constraint so that it doesn't move on me when I go to put my next spline down and add the tangent relation. And you can get much smoother geometry by fixing one spline to eliminate any variation. And from here, that actually matches the curvature very nicely. So if I could simply avoid over-constraint errors by watching what I fix, I should be able to very smoothly be able to transition my curve to the next radius. And so on and so forth. So this S, when it's finished, I can simply linear pattern it to fit this spot. One of the very unique things about modeling in this manner off of a picture is that we are not fully constraining our sketches, and we have things like that happen because of what we're doing. But it is very difficult to constrain these splines, and it's very time consuming. So depending on the importance of what you're working on, you may want to fully constrain simply by using the fixed relation, even as we're doing here, or dimensionals. But again, trying to fully constrain these splines can get very frivolous, especially if you're trying to get a basic replication of this logo out of SolidWorks. But there's no reason why you can't, it's just very time consuming. So that's the principles of kind of working with an S shape. And I'll go ahead and fast forward so that you don't have to sit through me doing the same thing over and over. Okay, now with everything sketched out the way it is, we can extrude features, extrude. And we can choose an arbitrary distance. 0.1 is fine. And there is our finished product. We can even make it look a little cooler by giving it an appearance. I think it would look kind of cool, like maybe something knurled. If I could go with a knurled metal. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So, hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next one. If this is helpful, please subscribe. See you next time.